with a leading newsmaker every week to discuss the issues of the day. And tonight, we have a very special guest. INQ&A is, of course, on Radyo Inquirer 990. It is also carried live on Facebook through Inquirer.net. It is also on Inquirer TV, which is available through digital television. And it is also covered by the various Inquirer social media platforms on Viber, on Kakao, online. My name is John Neri. I'm editor-in-chief of Inquirer.net. And with me is my co-host, the chief of reporters of Inquirer.net, Christine Sabilio.
Thank you, John. Good evening to everyone watching us tonight. It is my happy task to introduce our special guest for tonight. And indeed, we have a very special and controversial guest and very timely indeed. So before we introduce him, I would like to give 3 things that we would like you to know about him. So a mix of light and serious stuff. So number 1, according to his staff, he has a dog. And it's a chow chow named Bruno. The second one is that one of his hobbies is playing tennis. And the third was that he was elected senator while still detained in Fort Bonifacio. In fact, he set up an office there because it took him a while before he was granted amnesty to actually serve in the Senate. So, ladies and gentlemen, Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, we would like to welcome you back, Senator. You were actually our first guest for INQ Live during the election campaign, and at the time we still didn't have a regular show with Inquirer Radio. So we would like to thank you as well for participating there because it led to us having a regular show.
Welcome, Senator.
Well, maraming salamat po, Mr. John and Ms. Christine, and good evening to all of those following the program in INQ&A.
Thank you. This is our 10th episode, and it promises to be another blockbuster. In fact, marami na pong tanong ang aming natanggap, and we will have a chance to ask many of these questions as we go along. But Senator, maybe first question, matapos kayong magbigay ng privilege speech kahapon, do you believe that there is such a thing as the Davao Death Squad?
Most definitely, at lalong lumiwanag ito because of the revelations of Mr. Matobato. So kinuha natin yan, binet natin, contrary to the claims of some of my colleagues, binet po natin ito ng maigi, chinek natin to make sure na hindi tayo malusutan ulit kagaya ni Ador Mawanay. So kahapon nga, during my privilege speech, na-present ko yung mga ibang documents that would bolster the credibility of Mr. Matobato.
Besides Edgar Matobato, before that, did you have any evidence or information about the Davao Death Squad?
Actually, long-running rumor na yan eh. But somehow, yun na nga, it's convenient for us to assume na walang direct na participation si Mayor Duterte. Probably merong parang indirect approval about the operations. So, kuwan yun. Parang you look the other way na lang, para hindi mo nga ma-confront. So ito ngayon yung first big break about it.
If this is true, this is a hard truth. Do you think the Senate is up to the task?
Sa ngayon, nag-grapple pa rin sila dyan kasi on one hand, very popular si President Duterte, and at the same time, nakita nila, nagkaroon ng chilling effect somehow yung ginagawa kay Senator De Lima. Plus, of course, meron ding may mga complications yung ibang mga senador natin. So, very vulnerable sila. So, right now, nag-grapple. At the same time, on the other hand, ando dun yung pressure later on. So, once the popularity wanes at nag-turn yung political tide,
Mhm.
I'm sure the senators will be up to the task.
Wow, very high risk
Yeah.
approach. Yes.
Senator, gaano kalaki ang tiwala nyo kay Edgar Matubato? You said you vetted him. How was the vetting process, and what leads you to believe do you think it's 100% telling the truth?
Okay. Yung pag-vet namin kasi normally pag may mga nag-walk-in na mga ganyan, in this case he was referred to us by Senator De Lima. So normally it goes through stages, different sets of eyes and ears. Magtatanong, then we would check randomly yung mga statements niya. Then mararamdaman mo pero kaya nga several sets of eyes at every stage para hindi ka mapa-blindside kasi baka malay mo madala ka lang naging sympathetic ka, then you'd want to believe everything that he has to say.
Did you believe him from the start, or
nung time na nakarating na sa akin, medyo na yon, pag kasi humarap na ako, ibig sabihin na clear niya na yung first few stages, then ayun, he checked out. Alam nyo, I'll have to say this. When I was a cadet, I was a member of this honor committee, the Cadet Honor Committee. And ganun yung ginagawa namin, we investigate and we prosecute and we judge yung mga honor violators. And mainly, since hindi naman kami restrained by the court processes, court procedures, kami, ang binibase namin, we extract information and we get witnesses, we investigate. At nakikita namin based on the demeanor of the cadets, the delivery. So ganun yung nagiging instincts. So for 4 years I was doing that. I became the chairman eventually. So I can say that meron akong eye for such witnesses. So ito na nga. I believe Mr. Matubato is genuine. He's really a member of the Davao Death Squad. Ngayon, yung kanyang mga testimonies, kailangan natin i-validate one by one. And that's what we did, and that's what we're doing. Dahil we'll have to factor in yung edad niya, yung lapses in memory. And remember, itong pagpatay ng tao is a regular thing for him. So, kung since 1988 pumapatay sila, and let's say 1,000 people, so on average, parang once a week. Di ba? Once a week. And ang titignan mo rito, mami-mix up niya na yung pinatay niya yung 1992 doon sa 1995.
Detalye.
So generally makikita lang niya yung paano nila ginagawa. Sometimes binabaril sa ulo, pinaplantahan ng 38, other times ina-abduct, ginagarote, china-chop-chop, binubusan na oil. So kumbaga may mga ganun siya. But kaya kailangan dito is pigain niya muna yung memory banks niya pagka may mga specific instances. Otherwise, kung randomly tatanungin mo siya, ang magiging instinct niya is generally ginagawa namin ganito. So, if you nitpick, talaga magkakaroon ng inconsistencies. Pero pagka mo sa kanya, pina-reflect mo talaga deeply these specific instances, flawless yung yung recollection niya, lalo na yung mga nag-stand out.
What can you say about what Senator Cayetano said, that Matubato is supposedly not familiar with the tools or the materials that they use when they kill someone? But before the show, you were mentioning that he really, that's really his trade.
So, yung ganito kasi may mga role as he described it. Merong mga taga-surveillance ng target, may taga-casing ng mga lugar. So, meron siyang specific skill set yung nanggagarote o yung bumabarel. Yung pagka minsan nagsilay naman yung nagliligpit, he just deals with the tools that's provided. Hindi naman siya yung tagabili. Di ba? That's trivial for a somebody like Matubato, ano, yung ganyan, ano, hindi na yan yung, may mga striker na tinatawag, may mga errand boys na taga-bilin yung mga ganon. And ano nga illiterate siya. So, hindi kasi makarelate si Senator Cayetano dun sa mga bagay-bagay na gano'n, na hindi lahat ng tao alam yung mga nalalaman ng somebody like him. Gano'n.
Yung, Senator, let me ask the first question from social media. Actually, kahapon pa to eh. We have a reader, Vladsky, at Vladiskimir. Sa Twitter to galing. Actually, marami siyang tanong, 5. But two basic questions. Una, bakit walang sworn statement or affidavit si Matubato before you presented or the Senator Laila presented him? And pangalawa, bakit kayong dalawa lang may alam? Parang nabulag tayong ibang senators. Can you explain what happened?
Okay. Unang-una, hindi ho yan required. They're saying now na dapat sinama sa invitation, may mga proseso. Actually, prerogative yan ng chairman. And the chairman then was Secretary Laila de Lima. Prerogative niyan kung paano niya i-vet yung testigo. And I believe she did, we did, I did. So, bago naman hinarap si Mr. Matubato. Ngayon yung sworn statement or affidavit, hindi siya necessary. Wala sa rules namin na kailangan yan. Ngayon, nire-raise lang nila ito because they felt they were blindsided at naging controversial nga yung testimony ni Mr. Matubato.
Sorry to ask, but I don't know if you can speak for Senator Laila, but was there an attempt to blindside the likes of Senator Alan? Kasi nandun po ako nung hearing, nakita ko yung mukha niya para talagang hindi mo mapinta eh.
Actually, ganito yan, ano? This is the first time that I'm going to tell this. Pero at some point, merong lawyer kasi ito si Mr. Matubato. And
may lawyer.
Lawyer siya nung time na nasa WPP pa siya. So, may nag-reach out sa kanya. Nag-offer to deal na wag na i-mention si President Duterte and Paulo Duterte. Ayaw ni Matubato. Determined siya to expose him all the way. So ngayon, then nag-cut na siya ng communication dito sa lawyer na to. So at that point, alam niya alam na ni President Duterte na lalabas na ito at some point. And compromise na rin yung kanyang security. So doon na bumilis yung sitwasyon. So they had an inkling. I believe it's one of the sources of agitation ni President Duterte at that time. Yun yung time na yung week na nagrarant siya all over the place eh. So yun yung situation. Wala namang deliberate attempt. Gusto lang namin marinig ng buong sambayanan yung storya niya. Kung hindi kasi they can put up obstacles. Yang mga sinasabing mga kailangan may affidavit, lahat yan, gagawin nila yan. Dito, nasabi na ngayon ni na wala silang nagawa to prevent this testimony from happening.
Let me see if I get this right. So, bago lumabas si Matubato, meron siyang kausap na abogado who asked him, baka pwede kang mag-testify pero wag mo banggitin yung Duterte father and son.
Okay.
Parang ganun ba yun?
Parang ganun. So, itong abogado na to, abogado niya na ito nung nasa WPP siya. I don't know how he got this. Itong abogado na to, apparently, some people from the Duterte administration were able to get in touch with him.
I see.
And wanted to strike a deal with him. And yun na nga ang in-offer nila na basta't bahala na rin sila. Ngayon, nung hindi pumayag itong si Mr. Matubato, nag-cut na siya ng ties. So, alam niya na itong abogado na to reported back to the Duterte camp and said na hindi tinanggap. So, alam na nilang may lalabas na ganito.
Wow.
Senator, relatively related to that. I'm not sure if you're in the position to answer it, but this is a question from Chris Rivera from Twitter. Why is there a delay in presenting Matobato and alleged evidence versus Duterte? Why not present before elections? Did you know about him before the elections?
No. In fact, si Senator De Lima managed to yung custodian yung nagtatago kay Mr. Matobato got in touch with Senator De Lima, I think the last days of August, the last few days of August. So doon pa lang na sabi niya sa akin, I was still in the US at that time. So pagbalik ko, doon pa lang pinaspasan namin yung vetting process. Then kaya namin na-present. Alam nyo, kung hawak ko ito, di sana nailabas ko yan. Hindi naman ako namimili ng right time sa pag-present ng katotohanan. So, yeah.
So,
go ahead.
I'm just gonna ask, nagtatago pa siya at the time of the campaign?
Yes, nagtatago siya at may mga nagkup-kup sa kanya and
natanong niyo ba siya? Bakit hindi siya nilabas ng whoever before the elections?
Ako, I'm speculating kasi nung 2014 doon na siya sa Witness Protection Program. But you know the politics in this land, pagkakaalyado mo hindi mo ginagalaw Probably they're thinking na since they need the votes of Davao and Mayor Duterte's support in Mindanao. So they didn't want to risk offending him. And that's the reason why yung mga ganitong mga political warlords, umahaba yung sungay kasi sinasanto ng mga national leaders. Look at Ampatuan. Kaya humaba yung sungay niyan at naging ganyan yan because the national leaders are always looking at the votes that his family will contribute to the national elections. So in fact, sinusuportahan, binibigyan ng project lahat-lahat because of that. And same with Mayor Duterte. Davao is a big area, malaking boto niyan. So ganyan.
Going back to the privilege speech, what was your objective in making the speech first?
Okay.
And in that fashion, parang 3 parts
Well, alam nyo yung the hearing before that, the one presided by Senator Gordon, I felt hindi fair para kay Mr. Matobato yung naging situation, yung hinahanapan siya ng butas, nililito siya. And yun na nga, yung difficulty niya, hindi siya magaling magtagalog, hindi pa siya literate. So talagang mahirap, at tapos hinahanapan ng butas. Yun ang difference, Kaya nga I needed to cite when I was still a cadet and nung AFP officer ako, we conduct investigations. When you conduct an investigation, ang objective mo is to extract as much information as you can. Hindi yung mindset ng abogado na hahanapan kita ng butas para anuhin yung questioning credibility mo. So kami, we can get that by verifying the information that they're saying. Pag sinabi mong dito ka nakatira, pwede namin i-check yan. Maraming pwedeng gawin. So, nakita ko, hindi niya nasabi ng maayos yung storya niya, yung katotohanan na hawak niya dahil hindi siya equipped to do so. So, kaya I presented the findings that I got through my own investigation.
So, meron kayong, sa first part, ito yung sinasabi niyo inconsistencies. Yun naman pala hindi. Parang may explanation ka, Halimbawa yung pagpaslang kay Richard King, sabi niya sa may McDonald's, yung pala wala naman talaga siya doon. In fact, there was a McDonald's very near the place. Tapos yung the second part was yung parang positive statements na, yung positive evidence, so to speak. Yung ID niya, yung payroll, ganon. So, and then the third part, yun ang medyo nakakagulat kasi ang humingi ka na sabi mo, biglang we are facing the prospect of living under a mass murderer as president. Yun ang...
Yes. So, ganun yung logical explanation nun. Kung wala namang inconsistency, tapos because of the positive evidence, sabihin, nag-check out lahat sinasabi niya. So, saan to pupunta? Yun na nga yung prospect no, na mass murderer yung presidente natin kasi yun yung allegation niya eh. May problema tayo niyan. Hindi ba at least that warrants a deeper investigation? So, yun lang naman yung aking motion.
So, babalik po ako dun sa tanong ko kanina na do you think the Senate is up to it? And more or less, parang it depends on the political tide din, sinasabi nyo.
Yes. As always, nauuna muna yung mga tao, yung public sentiment. Pagkatapos nun, yung mga politiko magtatalunan na yan. It's sad, but that's how it works. So, for, kumbaga, mga trailblazers like us, mabigat yung role na yon na mag-spearhead ng mga investigations or yung opposition. Mabigat na laban po yun.
It's another question from River Phoenix 007 on Twitter. How are you going to ensure the safety of Mr. Matobato in the light of the expose?
Actually, we can't ensure his safety. So, ang kwan lang dito is that mantle of protection by the committee kasi yung committee nag-rule na under protective custody siya ng committee. So, yun na lang yan. That's the most that we can give.
Is he expected back tomorrow sa resumption ng hearings?
Minove na nila yung hearing.
Kailan na ba?
I don't know, October 3.
Sa October 3.
Yes.
So, is he expected back there?
Yes. And the policemen that he identified are also expected to be there.
Okay. Pero in executive session?
No. I believe yung kanila is open session na.
After your privilege speech? Because of your privilege speech? Ano ba nangyari doon? Naalala ko yung
sa rules.
Yung usapan nun was sa executive session muna.
Pina-float lang nila yon yung mga how to handle it. But I believe magiging moot na yan kasi ako confident Mr. Matobato would be able to identify each and every one of them. But magandang exercise to test the credibility of Mr. Matobato. But
pero nga looking at the positive evidence that you presented, ilang beses nabanggit yung city mayor's office or yung heinous crimes investigation section. So parang meron ng
and even the way he recited the names, sabi ko nga, sinasabi na coached witness. Sabi ko nga, can you teach me how to coach an illiterate witness? Paano mo ipapamemorize yung mga pangalan na yun? Mahirap yun eh. Di ba? Bibigay mo. Sabi ko nga, ako nga, kahit mag-rehearse ako 100 times, I wouldn't be able to pull it off the way he did.
So, when you say illiterate, talaga hindi siya marunong magbasa?
Hindi siya marunong magbasa.
You saw that for yourself?
Yes.
So, halimbawa, kung tuturuan siya, sabi mo, Arturo Las Cañas, isusulat nila, hindi rin niya mababasa.
Hindi niya mababasa.
Parang gano'n. So, kailangan sasabihin, if ever.
Sasabihin sa kanya. Pero, alam nyo naman, people na mga nag-exam na that's impossible to do, yung sasabihin lang sa'yo, tapos when you memorize, talagang binabasa mo. That's how we do it. So, ganyan po yung challenge niyan kung talaga i-coach. Kaya hindi na, we don't talk to him, we don't brief him. And remember, after 10 hours, more than 10 hours of grilling
over 2 days
by the senators, the most that they found were inconsistencies na yun nga, as I explained sa privilege speech ko, na wala naman or minor, trivial if any.
Senator, a question from the same Twitter user. Currently the President and the DOJ are bent on crushing Senator De Lima at all costs. Do you think you are next?
Actually, parang during the latter part of the campaign, sinimulan na ako nun eh. I assumed na when I joined in this expose, I assumed na bibirahin ako. Pero yun na nga, hindi naman yan bago sa akin. Nangyari na yan nung panahon ni GMA.
Mm.
Hindi naman masarap na feeling yon to be subjected through that. But kailangan hong gawin.
Naalala ko, when we first interviewed you, when you're running for Vice President, na nabanggit nyo na tinanong namin kayo, paano pang manalo si Vice President Binay? Tapos you said something like, di kulong. Parang gano'n. Parang gano'n, ano?
So,
pero ngayon, do you feel that that's a prospect under...
Oh, definitely. In fact, I'm totally aware that they have sets of lawyers trying to find anything that can put us away in jail or magkaroon man sila ng leverage. Parang gano'n eh. May mga, in fact, they're even checking the amnesty provision. Baka may
pwedeng bawiin.
Parang bawiin. So, ganun lang talaga yan. And nakita ko nga lahat ng mga underhanded tactics, if you look at what they're doing kay Senator Lima, it's on the table. All options are on the table para lang makuha nila yung end nila.
We can talk about that later. We can talk about also some of the things that you did during the campaign that maybe got their attention. Ano? Yung kay after your privilege speech, can you give us an idea ano ang sense mo, anong reaction ng mga senators? Kasi ang focus ng marami yung nagtatalunan kayo ni your friend Senator Alan Cayetano. Was there something that we missed while that was going on? Was there other things or other things happening in the Senate?
Well, yung mga private conversations doon, marami nagsabi na ganun pala. Akala kasi nila talaga, pag tinignan mo lang kasi si Mr. Matubato, baka ang tingin mo sa kanya, farmer, or yung ordinaryong, yung man on the street lang. Hindi mo nakita siya as the hitman that he claims to be. So kaya nga yung picture doon na may baril siya, that changed the image instantly. Plus the documents that followed, lumiwanag sa kanila that this guy indeed is a member of the Davao Death Squad.
Senator, why do you think a group like the Davao Death Squad was able to operate for so long? And is it still operating?
Ganito kasi, no? Yung setup niya, ando dun siya under the office of the mayor. So, ando dun yung heinous crime unit. As claimed by Mr. Matubato, yun yung Davao Death Squad. So, may pondo sila, may yung peace and order funds ang pinagkukuhanan, ano? Based on the last budget, parang almost 800 million ang pondo nila dyan. So, kung saan nila ginagamit. Walang pwedeng mag-imbestiga sa kanila kasi hawak naman ng mayor yung chief of police. So, they can do their thing with impunity.
Do you think this is something this is connected to what is happening now with the vigilante groups? You think some of the vigilante groups are under police operations?
I believe walang vigilante group. Yung meaning, I'm not connected with anybody. Parang I just took it upon myself to kill addicts. No, walang ganon. Yun yung sinasabi nila na ganon daw. But how would I know whom to kill? Diba? Yung pinapatay nila, yung mga nasa listahan ng mga nag-surrender, ano? And yung mga finid ng mga kapitan. Sa akin, magkakasama yan. In fact, even yung mga nanlaban, if at all, lagay mong out of 100%, kung may nanlaban naman talaga, siguro mga 1% lang. All the rest, as mentioned by Mr. Matubato, ganun yun. Tinutumba, pinaplantahan ng 38.
Those killed by unidentified men, do you think these unidentified men are police or civilians connected to the police?
Pwedeng police mismo or mga assets ng police in plain clothes. Pero ganito yan, to be fair sa police natin. Kahit papaano na professionalize ni President Aquino yung PNP, he picked the right guys to be PNP chief. So nawala yung ganyang culture. Pero may mga police na willing gumawa ng ganyan. Pero not all mga units ng PNP, may mga police na pwedeng gumawa ng ganon. So kung nape-pressure sila, ang information they're being pressured dahil may quota. Wala namang specific number, but pag sinasabing wala kayong ginagawa diyan, ibig sabihin walang bodies na lumalabas. Pagka walang bodies, you can be relieved. So ganun yung measure of performance is the number of bodies killed. So yun yung
this is the rumor now with the police.
Sa akin kasi yun lang yung pwedeng nangyayari, yung vigilante thing, yung may group na totally not connected. I don't believe that. I also do not believe na yung mga drug lords are killing their own people kasi sabihin nun nawala na tayo ng control. Hindi ganun wala pang level sa ganun tayo, nowhere close tayo sa Mexico o ano. So etong mga nangyari nito ganun yung modelo nila, yung sa Davao, yung Davao Death Squad.
Meron pa akong tatanong tungkol dun sa privilege speech mo, but Senator, we have viewers watching from Hong Kong and the United States. Baka you can say hi.
Binabati natin yung mga kababayan natin dyan sa Hong Kong at sa US at hopefully buti na nasusubaybayan nyo ang mga nangyari sa Pilipinas.
We'll have to take a break time.
Yes, so thank you for everyone who's watching right now. We'll just have to take a few minute break for a few minutes. You're watching INQ&A with Senator Sonny Trillanes. We'll be back soon. Thank you.
Billboard Go Premium.
This is a story about Filipino courage. People who get bullied but never back down. A nation that shows greater strength when faced with bigger foes. Heroes who suffer setbacks but come back better than ever. A country fighting against all odds and being victorious in the end. This is the story of the Filipino people, best told by the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Get more from the country's #1 newspaper with Inquirer Plus digital newsstand. Download now.
Tatanungin ko ang lahat ng nararapat itanong.
Tatanungin ko sina Manong at Mana,
friends,
office mates,
si Obama
at ang barangay tanod.
Tatanungin ko ang mga taong dapat tanungin para sa mga bagay na dapat ipaliwanag para sa bansang kailangan magtanong.
Good evening and welcome back to INQ&A. Umuusok yung studio sa mga nasabi ni Senator Sonny Trillanes. So balik po tayo. Senator, merong isang nung nagsasalita po kayo sa privilege speech niyo, meron kayong isang tanong na talagang I think maraming napaisip So nung unang lumabas si Matabato, tinanong si General De La Rosa, kilala niyo ba siya? Sabi niya, I've never seen that man before in my whole life. Pero narinig ko, tirador yan siya. Diba? May gano'n siya. So, binanggit mo yon.
Yes.
Tapos, kinonek mo, daming proof. Natatrabaho sa city mayors, naka-detailed sa heinous crimes. Tapos, ang tanong nyo, anong ginagawa ng hitman sa office ng city mayor?
Yes, yun na nga.
Ano ba sagot doon?
Precisely. Kaya kailangan natin mag-imbestiga, And ito 'yan. Yung mga claims niya na mga pinatay, mga inabduct, tapos kung saan tapunan, lahat nag-check out. Tapos ando doon pa rin siya sa Office of the City Mayor for 24 years. Ito
24 years.
Illiterate ito. Hindi siya marunong magmaneho, hindi naman siguro to taga-timpla ng kape, tapos meron siyang barel na government issued barrel, may license na bawal, by the way, kasi nga hindi siya marunong magbasa, pero nagawa nila ng paraan na meron siyang barrel. Iyon ngayon ang mga mabibigat na tanong, di ba? And kung nag-check out lahat ng mga sinabi niya, ibig sabihin, totoo rin yung sinasabi niya na malamang totoo, at least yung sinasabi niya na lahat ng ito, yung Davao Death Squad, ang mastermind nito ay si President Duterte nung siya ay mayor pa ng Davao City. Alam nyo, kahit magbulag-bulagan tayo, no, alam na natin na may idea tayo o kahit naka-give tayo ng mga balita about the Davao Death Squad. The President himself admitted na meron silang napatay na 1,700. He was bragging about it. So ito na ngayon yung confirmation ng mga sinasabi mismo ni President Duterte. Minsan nagugulat lang ako sa mga ibang kasamahan ko na they're acting as if President Duterte is a saint when he never pretended to be one. In fact, yesterday he was questioning the existence of that. So anyway, that's another story. Pero yun eh. Di ba? Ito na ngayon yung confirmation, validation nung sinasabi mismo at pinagmamalaki ni President Duterte.
Anong next step sa Senado ngayon?
Yun na nga. Ang sinasabi ko, grabe itong allegation na to. We cannot sweep this under the rug. So, at the very least, we dig deeper. Tignan natin kung saan to pupunta. At least, ma-rule out man lang natin. Give the President also the opportunity to clear his name. Kung wala talaga tayong makita, at least safe tayo, masasabi natin the country is in good hands, hindi mass murderer yung presidente natin. Pero kung totoo, may kailangan tayong pag-usapan. Kailangan mag-usap-usap pong muli ang mga Pilipino kung okay lang sa atin yan.
Wow.
Senator, I'm gonna connect two questions from social media. The first one is from Landatron123. Do you see a better Philippines without the governance of Duterte administration? And the other one from Grace Bello Galas. If you are elected president of this country, how will you totally stop the illegal drug trade?
Okay. Yung do we see a better Philippines without President Duterte? Most definitely. That's my position during the campaign. I believe we had a better candidate in Senator Grace Poe, but the people chose President Duterte, so we'll have to live with that. As regards the how to handle the illegal drug trade, sa akin, it should be holistic. Yung kailangan yung sa demand side, yung mga hindi pa nalululong o hindi pa pumapasok sa droga, kailangan may massive information campaign sa mga schools, sa mga churches, communities, yung mga ill effects ng drugs sa mga magulang. Kailangan bata pa lang, isabihin na natin kung nagpo-promote sila ng sex education, why not have that component sa ating basic education system against illegal drugs. So that's one. Doon naman sa mga nalulong na, kailangan natin ng rehabilitation component. We have to get it out of the system kasi may chemical imbalances na kinukos yan. Pero, hindi yan imposible na task. We know of people na nag-experiment sa droga o nalulong sa droga, but somehow, through whether it's a religious experience or nag-rehab or nag-mature o nag-asawa, nawala sa sistema. So, you can give them another chance. Now, dun sa supply side, kailangan nating i-upgrade yung capacity ng PIDEA to handle the drug problem. Modernize natin equipment, dagdagan natin yung kanilang personnel, dagdagan natin ng pondo nila for operations and intelligence gathering. So, ito yung mga pwedeng gawin nila. Dun sa prosecution side, kailangan natin mag-create ng drug courts na dedicated to handle drug cases. May mga mga prosecutors din dedicated for that. Tapos detention facilities na para din sa mga suspects at mga yung mga detainees. So, yan yung mga pwede nating gawin na mga policies to address the drug problem.
Sa House of Representatives, so may ongoing inquiry naman dun sa supposed illegal drugs trade sa Bilibid. Kung basa nyo dun?
Sa akin, yan, mga coercive tactics yan. Unang-una, credibility-wise, character-wise, you cannot rely on convicts. You cannot hold on to the word of convicts. So, yun ang problema dun eh. Bakit nangyari yan? Tapos binigyan pa kagad ng immunity. Tapos akala ko ba, war on drugs tayo, sinabi nyo, itong mga drug lords sa Bilibid, yan yung mga nag-handle ng ilang % of the drug trade in the country. Tapos ngayon, kapartner nyo. Di ba? Parang in the pursuit of an alleged protector. So, mas pinaboran nyo yung drug lord, di ba? Kaysa doon sa sinasabi, yung protector kasi is, ano lang yan eh, so many levels lower yan. Kasi drug lord ang pinakang culprit. So, it doesn't make sense. But, kung ang kanilang ultimate objective is to have a chilling effect dun sa mga kumakalaban kay President Duterte, and they're able to achieve that, at least for some.
Ano naman ang sagot nyo sa puna na, or yung criticism na yung ginagawa nyo naman sa Senado, coercive din?
In what way? Outnumbered nga kami at every turn eh. So, ang sa akin dito, kung bogus ito, then I always say this, we will fall flat on our faces eh. Pero we will let the people decide. We should always let the people decide. Kung mali yan, wag natin pagtakpan. Dapat.
Senator, you have experience in vetting and investigating. Question again from Grace Bello Galas. Do you believe that De Lima is benefiting from drug money? Or how about other accusations against her?
Ako personally, it doesn't fit the profile. Ito yung sa akin. Ang sinasabi nila, on the take si Senator De Lima doon sa mga drug lords na nasa Bilibid. Pero kung maalala ninyo, it was only during the term of then Secretary of Justice De Lima na na-raid itong Bilibid. And she did that dozens of times. Sunod-sunod, doon na-expose yung mga jacuzzi, yung mga ano. It's not under the Duterte administration. She started it 2014 pa. So, sinunod-sunod niya. Kumbaga, ginulo niya yung buhay ng mga drug lords doon. Nilipat niya yung mga ano. So, talagang na-disrupt yung kanilang operations. So, it doesn't make sense na tapos mong guluhin yung kanilang operations, hihingi ka. The normal or human nature siguro would or yung ordinaryong kalakaran siguro niyan would be, bago mo guguluhin, magpapadala ka emisaryo, o magbigay kayo ng pera. Kung hindi, guguluhin namin kayo. O pag nag-cough up sila ng pera, hindi mo na guguluhin. Pero ito, ni-raid ito siguro mga 30 times eh. Tapos saka mo hihinga ng pera, it doesn't make sense. Kumaga, hindi maganda yung script.
Senator, President Duterte has been visiting the military camps to try to explain the war on drugs and enlist the support. May tanong si B. Vergara. How close do you think is Duterte to politicizing the military?
Sa akin, dangerously close na. Kasi ngayon, I would have to say talagang very supportive yung armed forces sa kanya, no? And again, I'll go back to the time of President Aquino. Na-professionalize niya na yung ranks niyan. Napili niya mga magagaling na mga opisyal, which incidentally, sila pa rin naman yung mga nakaupo dyan. Kaya, okay yung leadership. Ngayon, yung kahit yung mga sundalo, supportive kay President Aquino, pero hindi niya misuse and inabuse yung loyalty and support na yon. Ako, ang fear ko lang dito kasi, highly suspicious yung frequency ng visits. You don't need to visit every camp in the armed forces to deliver your point. Di ba? So, ako kinakabahan ako dyan, and in relation dito sa claims ni Mr. Matubato, parang delikadong combination.
Yung combination na yan. Senator, yung pagbisita niya, might it have something to do also with resistance in the military to the peace talks with the Communist Party? Last week, bisita namin yung Tiamzon couple na natanong din namin sila. So, meron din silang perspective. Anong tingin niyo?
Pwede yun. One of the objectives yun, maalala nyo, habang binibisita nyo yung mga kampo, pinapalabas nyo yung mga CPP, NPA leaders. So, kumbaga, parang sleight of hand yan. Na-entertain yung mga sundalo natin while pinapakawalan yung mga leaders. Kaya wala signify man lang ng ano doon, ng opposition. So, that's one. Pero, another objective is probably yung kanilang, yung paranoia na baka may destabilization moves going on. Wala naman, ano? Kasi talagang yung rank and file ngayon, the officer corps, talagang very professional ang AFP natin ngayon. Then, the third one is sinusuyo mo. Kinukuha mo yung loyalty at baka i-employ mo for other purposes. Yun ang delikado.
So your information is that the military fully backs the president because
Yes.
ang sabi dun sa peace talks, may mga hindi masaya dun sa nangyari.
Merong ganon, ano? Hindi mawawala yon. May mga nag-express ng disappointment or
Pero konti lang.
oo, konti lang, but not enough to overcome yung loyalty and support kay President Duterte.
Pero yung back to the original question, is he politicizing the military, and you say he's
Yeah.
coming dangerously close
Dangerously close.
because of his frequent visits?
No, sa akin kasi dito is the moment he employs them for political purposes, yun. Kaya nga ang highly suspicious doon yung frequency of visits. Kung hindi mo wala ka namang planong i-employ sila for other political purposes, you don't need to overdo it. You can deliver your message, your support for the AFP sa isang ano lang.
So itong state of lawless violence, that allows the military to take part in law enforcement efforts. Is that part of the political activity na sinasabi niyo?
I believe he is pushing the boundaries. Kinukondisyon yung mind ng mga kababayan natin na ayan, sanay na tayo sa state of national emergency, state of lawlessness. So, parang this is the new normal. So, pag nag-next step ka na, maglagay ka na ng mga platoons of soldiers at some areas of the metropolis, yun na yung nag-level up ka na until next thing you know, yun na.
Another thing, Senator, I think hindi naman yata sikreto na the AFP is one of the most maybe pro-American of institutions in the Philippines. There's a lot of interaction with the American military. The top people go to school in the US. In a few weeks, we'll have another military, another war game exercise. With that background, the president repeatedly saying, I'm crossing the Rubicon and we're about to, let go for alliance with the US. How do you think is that impacting on the military?
Yun yung nagkakaroon ng ngayon, ng some concerns. Concerns pa lang naman. Pero it's mainly sa officer corps. Sa rank and file, they're just doing their job. Yun naman ang ginagawa ni President Duterte kasi he feels na malapit na siya magkaroon ng cult following and it's expanding fast. So, tinetest niya yun. So, kumbaga, he keeps on floating these ideas na at some point, dito na tayo sa China and Russia, mawawala na tayo sa US. So, he's letting these trial balloons float around para masanay yung not only the soldiers but the populace with that idea na gano'n na nga.
Senator, you spent 4 years in the PMA, 12 years in the Philippine Navy. Ikaw personally, anong tingin mo dun sa trial balloon na yun?
Sa akin, from a practical perspective, tanggalin natin yung political, being a former soldier in the AFP sa Navy, hindi mo maisip paano mo i-operate yung Chinese made warship. Ang problema yan sa maintenance manuals lang. Nakita namin yan with other foreign made na vessels. May language barrier kagad. Mahirap yan. Then whereas sa American made equipment, ando doon alam nyo kagad how things are done. Even the machines, the machinery, the main engines, for example, ng barko. So, familiar kayo sa So, yun pa lang yun sa technical or maintenance aspect lang, mabigat na. Tanggalin mo pa yung political aspect. Of course, that's for the AFP leadership to handle.
Senator, babalikan natin yung isang issue nung campaign. A question from Flores Pilita. What happened to Duterte's BPI certifications that were supposed to be released after 10 days? Ano nang nangyari doon?
Yun yung tinatanong ko. Actually, binibilang ko ilang buwan na to. Diba? So, baka magandang maitanong yan ulit. Later on.
Kaya natatakot yung mga iba mong kasama sa Senado, Senator. Kahapon meron ka pang we are not out to oust anyone, at least not yet.
Well, yun na nga, no?
Pabiro lang ba yun? O,
ayoko naman kasing magsabi na it's not gonna happen. And I'm not talking about any extra constitutional ouster plot. Yan? Figment na ng imagination nila yan. Kasi yung impeachment, is part of the constitutional processes. And when you vote to convict, you're basically voting to oust. Diba? So, yun naman ang konteksto po nun. Pero malayo pa tayo dyan. Malayo pa ho tayo dyan. Andito pa lang tayo sa fact-finding. And, yun po.
You said this already, but I just want to make sure. It is also possible that, in fact, walang kinalaman si Presidente.
Pwede ho. Kaya nga, sinasabi ko, dapat, yung mga kaalyado ni President Duterte, mas game sila dito. Dapat mas eager sila to prove na walang kinalaman si President Duterte kasi yun yung transparency, Kasi i-compare natin kay President Aquino. Remember yung sa DAP issue, tsaka yung Mama Sapano? Wala siyang ni-restrain. Lahat ng kailangan nyo, binigay. Wala siyang pinigilan. Ako, kaalyado ako ni President Aquino. Hindi ako sinabihan na ganito, i-anuhin mo i-outvote nyo si Senator Grace Poe as the chairman. Walang ganon, mga underhanded tactics. Talagang piniga natin. And we saw for ourselves na walang kinalaman.
Senator, ang bilis ng oras. You only have 7 minutes left. Meron pa tayong konting
last
game.
segment,
But baka we can ask you. So, yung media nakatutok talaga, lalo na sa Senado kasi ang daming nangyayari. So, there's a lot of coverage of extrajudicial killings and hearings sa emergency power, sa budget. Meron ba kaming nakaligtaan? Meron bang mga importanteng nangyayari sa Senado na hindi namin nakikita dahil nakatutok kami dun sa mga nabanggit ko?
Okay. Wala pa sa Senado pero sa House of Representatives baka ilalabas na nila. Itong tax reform program nitong Duterte administration, kailangan nyo tong himayin. Kasi mabigat po ito, Plano nilang dagdagan ang excise tax ng gasolina ng 6 pesos, yung diesel dadagdagan nila ng per liter 6 pesos per liter, yung mga sugary drinks dadagdagan nila ng excise tax din. So sa tamaan dito yung mga kababayan natin. And baka kasi dito sa political noise nito ng EJK at nitong kay Mr. Matubato, malulusutan ito. Mabigat ito sa bulsa. Kaya kailangan malaman ito ng mga kababayan natin.
Parang kanina lang yata mayroong panukala sa House na yung sa
senior citizens.
Sa senior maalis yung value added.
So kasama yon, part of the
Discount,
package yun. So
mhm.
tatanggalin nila yung exemptions ng senior citizens sa mga restaurants, pati mga persons with disabilities. So yan, kaya kailangan makita nyo na hindi ito lahat drug war, hindi ito so yan tatamaan talaga sila sa bulsa nila.
Ano naman sa tingin mo ang magiging reaction ng Senado as an institution pag dumating na yung when you have your own counterpart bill?
Well, sa akin, hindi ko palulusutin talaga yan. But isang boto lang ako. Kaya nga kailangan makita natin, bantayan natin yung mga magtutulak niyan. At kailangan magalit yung mga kababayan natin dito kasi sa hirap ng buhay ngayon, we cannot afford additional taxes. So nakita nyo, while the propaganda is bababaan daw yung income tax, pero yung pala babawiin dito. Kasi kung 6 pesos per liter ang itataas sa diesel, so ibig sabihin tataas yung pamasahe, tataas yung bilihin. Yun na yan.
Okay, meron pa tayong game pero baka pwede ko pang matanong to. Saan ba to? Meron tayong reader na ang gusto lang niya malaman, Senator, is it worth it? Hindi ko alam kung ano ibig sabihin, pero is it worth it?
Well, itong risk na kinakaharap natin, standing up, yes, it is. Kasi this is the only country that we have. Kung masira ito, under the wrong hands, talagang marami maghihirap na Pilipino. So, yes, it is worth it.
Okay, time.
Okay, let's proceed. So, welcome to the last segment of our show. Thank you to those watching INQ&A with Senator Sonny Trillanes. The last segment is called The Good, the Bad, and the Maybe. I already explained it with the Senator. Basically, we will just give him 10 topics related to the Philippines, and he will have to answer if it's a good idea or a bad idea. He can say maybe if he's unsure or he feels that it's a controversial topic, but only once. Okay, so let's start with the 10 topics. So the first one, Duterte visiting or touring military bases.
Good idea.
The second, Philippines following the Colombia model for war on drugs.
Good idea.
President Duterte visiting China.
Good idea.
Decision to abort the transfer of Bilibid to Fort Magsaysay.
Good idea.
Good idea lahat.
To abort. Okay. Federalism system in the Philippines.
Bad idea.
Modeling the Philippine healthcare system on that of Cuba.
Good idea.
DOF proposal to increase sin tax.
Good idea.
Perfecto Yasay as Secretary of Foreign Affairs.
Good idea.
Your friend Senator Cayetano as Secretary of Foreign Affairs.
Good idea.
Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as Secretary of Foreign Affairs.
Bad idea.
Okay, so that's a 10 items.
So,
you want to
Would you like
explain?
to explain
to
some of those?
qualify? Okay. Yung visiting military camps, good idea yan kung maganda yung intention mo. Pero kung ang plano mo later on ay kaya mo kinukuha yung kanilang suporta o nililigaw mo sila for other purposes, then it becomes a bad one. So at this point in time, it's on its face, it's still a good idea. Ngayon yung visiting China, while we should remain or strengthen our alliance with the US, but we should continue to engage China in other matters through the trade, the tourism, and yung rights of the OFWs. And what else? Yung isa?
Bilibid to Fort Magsaysay,
Yeah,
federalism.
Okay, federalism talagang that's a recipe for a disaster. Kasi maghihiwa-hiwalay yung ating bansa pagka tinuloy natin yan. May mga states na mag-aasenso sila and they will just break away from the central government. Ganun po.
Senator, mukhang wala na talaga tayong oras eh. Sayang, ang bilis ng panahon. Magpaalam na tayo.
Yes, thank you very much, Senator, and to everyone watching INQ&A tonight. Follow us on social media, Twitter, @JNary_newsstand and K Sabilio INQ to learn who is next on the hot seat. So far, we've had, I think, record-breaking viewers tonight. So, thank you very much and good night.
Thank you very much again, Senator Sonny Trillanes. Good luck with your initiative in the Senate. Thank you to all our audiences on the different platforms. This has been INQ&A. Thank you and good night.
Ito na ang mga winning Lotto numbers, hatid ng PCSO at PTV4.
Araw-araw ang swerte at araw-araw, multimilyon din po ang premyong pinamimigay ng PCSO sa mga Lotto players natin na walang sawang tumatangkilik sa ating mga Lotto games. Okay, good evening Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Araw po ng Martes, September 27, 2016. And last Saturday, nadagdagan po ang listahan natin ng ating Lotto Milyonaryo. At maya-maya po'y malalaman natin kung taga saan ang maswerteng Lotto player. Okay, handa na po mga tickets para sa mga games natin tonight. For our fixed price games, we have Easy to Lotto and Suertres Lotto, Paramutual Game 6 digits, Lotto 642, and the Super Lotto 649. At dito naman po sa studio, ready na rin po mga tickets ng ating panel of judges led by our chairperson, Miss Maria Edelyn Padayaw. Also joining us are representatives from PCSO and Commission on Audit, and to assist us with our draws, we have our PCSO Draw Coordinator. Bago po tayo maglaro, panoorin po muna natin ang mga naging kaganapan sa ating pre-draw procedures kanina.
Sa gaganaping live draws, siniguro ng ating panel of judges and representatives from PCSO and Commission on Audit na maayos ang kondisyon ng draw machines na gagamitin. Only the operation of the remote switch button ang may human intervention. Sa random selection of draw balls, 3 sets ang pinagpipilian for each game. All balls in all sets have almost exactly the same weight. Lahat po ng bola ay tinimbang at covered po ito ng video. Tapos masiguro na ito ay kumpleto, ang chairperson lamang ang makakapag-load ng draw balls na gagamitin sa mga draws.
Okay, everything is set. Super Lotto fans, kayo ang unang maglalaro. Let's play the Paramutual Super Lotto 649 game. Philippines tonight Super Lotto jackpot prize is 59,623,384 pesos. Okay, Miss Padayaw, please press that button. Let's play Super Lotto. Okay, maraming salamat po at makakasama ulit namin kayo mamaya para mag-press ng button para sa ating Lotto 642 draw. Okay, kompleto po yan. 49 balls po ang laman ng draw machine at may mga numero itong 1 to 49. Ang tanong, ano-ano kayang mga numero ang mapipili? And we have the first number. And it's the number 34. Paalala po sa ating mga kababayan, huwag po kayo maniniwala sa mga teksto tawag na nagsasabing kayo nanalo sa loto kapalit ng pera or cellphone load. Scam po yan. And the second number is the number 6. Para po sa mga hindi nakakaalam, ang Super Lotto 649 ay Paramutual game. Kung dalawa higit pa ang jackpot winners, paghahatian po nila equally ang jackpot prize. And the third number is the number 18. At sa game na ito, available po ang mga System 7 to 12 o ang tinatawag na 5R o Roll 5. Magtanong lang po sa mga Lotto tellers kung paano ito laruin. And the fourth number is the number 14. Ang bawat lotto ticket po ay may security features. May kauklang parusa po ang batas sa sino mang magtatangkang mag-claim ng premyo gamit ang fake or tampered lotto tickets. And for the 5th number, we have the number 13. Isang bola na lang ang hinihintay natin na kukumpleto sa ating Super Lotto winning combination ngayong gabi. Para sa iyo na kaya ang Super Jackpot. For the 6th and final number, we have the number 29. Okay, Philippines, here are the official Super Lotto winning numbers in any order. We have 34, 6, 18, 14, 13, and 29 with the jackpot prize of 59,623,384 pesos. Okay, gaya nga po ng sinabi ko kanina, mayroon po tayong bagong Lotto Millionaire courtesy of the Lotto 642 last Saturday. Ang winning ticket po ay mula pa po sa Tabuk, Kalinga. Congratulations po sa inyo. Okay, Lotto Millions, ipamimigay na ulit natin. Let's play the Paramutual Lotto 642 game. Our Lotto 642 jackpot prize for tonight is the minimum jackpot prize of 6 million pesos. Okay, Miss Padayaw, please press that button. Let's now play Lotto 642. Maraming salamat po muli sa ating chairperson and to the rest of our panel of judges sa paglaan po ng oras para samahan kaming maghatid ng swerte. 42 balls naman po ang laman ng ating draw machine and we are waiting for 6 lucky draw balls.